Welcome back, everybody. This is Oliver Now here. Welcome back to my channel. It's been a few weeks or several weeks since we've done an episode of the Green Room here. We're going to talk about something that I get a lot of questions about, and that's fishing jerkbaits on spinning gear. And myself, I grew up fishing my jerkbaits and pretty much every reaction bait on conventional gear. Bait casters, heavier baits, but it took me real world experience, just like everything else that I do, to really fully understand the benefits of fishing some of these jerkbaits on spinning gear specifically. And we're gonna just kind of go through some of the mechanics, some of the technical aspects of fishing jerkbaits in this manner. We're gonna talk about some of the equipment, and hopefully I can give you guys some more insight to make your jerkbait fishing a little bit easier, a little bit more efficient, and a lot more fun, because I love catching jerkbait fish. It's one of the top methods of figuring out what's going on in a lake for me. I can go out there and fish a lake that I haven't fished. In this case, this is Lake Casitas one spring. I think this is last year or the year before. And I haven't fished this lake really since it was at full pool. And as you can see in the footage here, the lake is way down. I think down in the 30% capacity range. So literally a new lake to me. And we go out there for a quick afternoon session. So we got to quickly go out there and try and piece the puzzle with a limited amount of time. So a jerkbait's a great way to do that. So I'm going to talk to you guys about my introduction to the spinning rod for the jerkbait. We're actually fishing at Pudding Stone with my man Carnell, aka Dimension, and the vice president of product development at Megabass, Mr. Kenichi Ida. And he was like, here, try this Orochi XX Ronin. This is first generation XX, mind you. And he was telling me how that rod was designed specifically for fishing the 110 jerkbait. Had a shorter handle, made it easier to facilitate the actual, action into the bait. A little bit shorter. I believe that they're 6'8", but most importantly, it was designed with the correct taper in mind. The taper is important because you want that rod to be fast enough to actually get that bait moving, but also soft enough to keep the hooks from tearing out of their face. So it's a really fine line. And if you notice the mechanics here of how I'm working this bait, I generally rip the bait down and a little bit off to the side. So that 6'8" rod length is pretty much perfect for me. I'm not a very big human being. I'm only 5'8.5", 5'9" on a good day. Someone that may be taller, you might prefer a longer rod, but most of the time that 6'8" is absolutely perfect. Now we talk about taper a little bit, right? Look at this, the taper on this rod as I'm loaded up on a snag. It's important that when you're working a fast moving bait like this, that rod absorbs the shock of hopefully what is a big bass eating your jerkbait. You can see my man Dave here's got it right. He's got a bass on the end of his rod. I had a stick on the end of mine. But you want to be able to absorb the strike, or you actually ripping into the mouth of a fish when you go to work the bait. A lot of times those fish will already have eaten the lure. Most of your bites are going to come on the pause or any kind of stall in your rhythm and cadence. And as you see here, we double up quite a few times on this day. It was actually a really fun day of fishing. Just catching them, in quantity, and once in a while you get a good one too. You see how they're eating it pretty good. 2 hooks, sometimes 3 hooks. But the rod taper is really important. You can't just pick up any spinning rod and just go out there and go to work. Now, another thing you have to keep in mind is I'm throwing pretty much all of my conventional fishing stuff, crankbaits, topwater, jerkbaits, jigs, soft moving baits, on braid to fluorocarbon leader. And it's something that you will have to make adjustments for if you have mechanics and experience built on fishing straight mono or straight fluorocarbon. Okay, and I think too many guys are too stubborn in refusing to adjust their mechanics to compensate for the lack of stretch. And you just have to fish differently and fight these fish differently. Okay, one of the guys that really opened up my eyes to fishing braid for jerkbaits was Mr. Mark Higashi. We were at Lake Pyramid, and he was one of the first guys I knew that was fishing braid to fluoro leader, and I'm still fishing straight fluorocarbon, and he was whooping my butt fishing at Lake Pyramid. We're catching largemouth, smallmouth, and schoolie stripers. But what the big difference that I noticed from fishing with him that day was like he was having to only like pop his wrist because of that lack of stretch, and the rod doing the bulk of the work for him. He could do this and stay in the little pocket and get that bait to move the way he needed it to get bit, versus I actually had to exaggerate my ripping and my jerking motion to get the same effect. And over the course of a long day, over the course of a week, over the course of a season, like that starts adding up as far as fatigue goes, and you get a little sloppier. So the braid is, number one, more efficient in working the bait, and then very efficient at detecting bites. Like I said, most of your bites are going to come on the pause, and the fish are pretty active this day, so we didn't really employ too long of a pause. You watch our rhythm and our cadence, it's pretty quick. These fish were willing to come chase it, come get it. So pretty much as soon as you stall the bait, you feel that tick, or load up, or just be there. One of the great benefits of braid, I've watched some crazy videos on YouTube, especially like some underwater stuff. These guys are missing bites left and right, and I'm just like, whoa, you guys are definitely not doing something right, whether it's your rod and line setup, whether it's the hooks that you're fishing, something, like, because we don't miss bites. Like you're gonna see throughout this video and all of the content that's already been posted to the Big Bass Streams channel, if you get bit on the jerkbait, if you're fishing the right hooks and you're fishing the right rod and reel and you've got the right mechanics, like you're gonna hook them, and you're gonna hook them good, and you're probably gonna land them. I mean, look at this fish. You've got the front hook in the corner of the jaw, middle hook catches them somewhere, and some, you know, if you're lucky, you get all three hooks into them. It's a really efficient form of fishing.
Whenever you got multiple trouble like that, just grab them right by the pecs, give a nice solid squeeze, kind of paralyzes them, makes them pee a little bit.
The spinning rod lets me cast directly into the wind, so that's another benefit, especially with the 110 size and smaller. Right, 110 silent, it's got a fixed balancer, so it really excels casting on the spinning reel setup. The X80 series of baits, the 110 Junior, anything smaller. I love fishing the flap slap on this Ronin setup with the 2500 series spinning reel. I know fishing 20 to 30 pound braid max, apologies for that, with a very short fluorocarbon leader, and I'm using 100% pure fluorocarbon, anything from 12 to 20 pound depending on the cover we're fishing. Just because I'm fishing a spinning rod doesn't mean I'm not targeting a big fish, and usually in and around heavy cover. Like even on this bank you can't see, but we've had a little bit of a rise in water, so all of that brush that you see on the bank, there's also a brush line submerged under the surface. So when you do hook a fish, you know, on the better side of 4, 5, 6 pounds, you need to have enough muscle to control that fish and keep them out of that cover. And which I'm hoping you guys can pick up here is you should be able to hear that line slapping. Every time I go to rip that bait, it's on a slack line. I see too many guys pulling the bait on a semi-tight line, and that's making that bait track straight to you instead of hitting it hard and then throwing slack into it immediately and allowing that bait's head to turn and travel horizontally, side to side. You're getting that walk the dog style action, but subsurface. And another thing, when you guys are going to bounce fish, you're going to want to wind down to within like a couple feet of the rod tip. And you want to keep that rod loaded as parallel to the water surface as possible. That way you're utilizing the entire blank of the rod to support the weight of the fish. Anytime you get above, like, gosh, I want to say like 2:30, 2 o'clock, like that's bad news. It's hide sticking. That's how you break rods. So anyways, this video went by pretty quickly. Hopefully there was enough content in there for you guys to take some insight from. I'm showing off here.
What if I beat you to it?
Once you've built enough experience fishing a certain style, you should be able to go on your gut feeling and fish based off of feel, right? I can feel when that jerkbait is fishing the way it needs to. I can hear that line slapping the surface because I'm fishing it in the right manner, and I'm ripping that bait on a slack line and finishing with slack line. I can feel when that fish is surging and I know not to pull back.
At least I'm looking the other way. Alright, let's see. Should be getting pretty close here. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Ceremonial no look last cast. What do I got? See, I really wasn't kidding. I was not looking. Good times, good times. A little 4-hour session in the afternoon, evening. We're pretty much having to leave these things biting because we're in Southern California and we can't do anything. Oh, I'm gonna sneak one more. Oh, snap. That was too good.
Really, really fun way of fishing. I know there's a lot of you guys that are new to fishing, new to my channels, that have yet to embrace the jerkbait. Do yourself a favor. If you like catching fish, go pick up some 110s, buy yourself a Ronin XX and you know, 2500 Kage spinning reel, load it up with some braid and a short fluorocarbon leader, and go have some fun. Appreciate you guys joining me on this latest edition of the Green Room. Please make sure to watch the previous episodes. I'll be working on some big bait green room stuff coming too, so I'm setting you up for some iSlide content. As always, this is Oliver and I appreciate your patronage. Just make sure you guys subscribe to my channel. Make sure you guys subscribe to the Big Bass Streams channel. Turn your notifications on, and we're going to be pumping out a ton of content that'll hopefully get us all back to the right frame of mind once we all start fishing again. So until then, stay safe, stay home. We will get through this, man. We just got to be smarter about it. So anyways, leave a comment below. What do you guys think? Have you guys fished jerkbaits on a spinning rod yet? If you haven't, why not? If you have, what'd you think? The braid thing, gosh, we can go on and on and on, but luckily or unluckily, we're holed up for the month. So stay tuned for more content. This is Oliver and I signing off. Thanks for watching, guys.
Always catch more, man. Seen it all, caught them all, still more. There's no limits to these big bass dreams.
You know the name, fishing is my claim to fame. See me catching everything and every fishery, man. On swim baits and jigs, drop shot rig. When I get off the water, can't wait to hit them again. My last post, I irked them, put a hurt in them. Big bass dreams, who out working them.